Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to tonight's episode of All Elite Zone podcast, Talking Elite. Tonight we have special topic tonight. We are going to be talking the state of AEW, whether it be on the financial side, the storyline side, the performance wide. We're going to discuss all that, including on top of that, we are also going to discuss everything going on in the world of professional wrestling, whether it be contracts being signed, superstars ending up in different promotions, or, the whole deal with distribution companies. So we're going to be talking about that. And on top of that, our world champion, our savior, our friend MJF and his contract and the bidding war of 2024. That's all in store tonight for everybody. But first off, let me introduce you guys to the panel tonight. We may have more people coming up, but these are the people joining me tonight for the time being until more people jump on. First and foremost, a very special guest from our Canadian friends up at AEZ Canada. She is the Canadian starlet. She is now a big fan of Timeless Tony Storm. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the lovely Siren.
Hello, I'm excited. I'm actually super excited for the topics tonight, especially MJF.
We'll be talking about him quite a bit, so because he is our world champion and everything's starting with him in 2024. And of course, also joining us tonight is our favorite producer, who without him we will not even exist as a podcast. He's everyone's favorite producer, Mr. Connor Hayes.
This should be a very interesting episode. I'm really pumped for this one. This should be good.
Yeah, no, lots to discuss tonight. First and foremost, thank you guys for joining me tonight in this discussion. This is something I want to talk about, being someone who grew up with pro wrestling and seeing the changing in pro wrestling throughout the decades. And it's something different now because now you have some streaming services. And as you can see behind me, there's a lot to talk about this streaming service and just this whole story of Warner Brothers Discovery and AEW and the talks of a possible merger. Let me read this for you guys here in case some of you do not know. There has been speculation. As many know, Warner Brothers is the streaming distribution company that has a contract, trying to get a contract with AEW. Basically, they own like TBS, TNT, all those channels. Well, there's now speculation that Discovery and Paramount will now be merging, which means there's going to be a lot more money and they're going to own a lot of property. This is kind of reminiscent of UFC and WWE merging under one umbrella. What it says for AEW, we don't know because there are talks that WWE is also involved in this deal. I guess I'll start with you, Siren. You're very AEW heavy. You're just learning about a lot of WWE stuff, including some of the past stuff. In your eyes, if there is a merger and WWE is somehow involved in this outside of their TKO merger, do you think you see this as a good opportunity for AEW and WWE to finally start working together as opposed to working opposite?
I mean, I totally did grow up with WWE, WWE, WCW. It was just on in my house all the time. So I understand, but definitely, I think it's a great thing. I personally think that all companies should be working together. I've said it every single podcast, and I will say it every single podcast coming up in the future. I think it's going to be really great in my heart of hearts one day when WWE shows up at Forbidden Door. That would be super, and I think that's awesome. And really, you can only grow. When there's healthy competition and stuff like that out there, or when you're working together, you can only grow. You can only get better. I would really love to see talent go back and forth, because right now, as I try to sit and watch WWE, I find myself skipping a lot and fast forwarding a lot. And I really want to be invested in it. And I think that some of the talent that I really adore and love from AEW coming over to WWE in the future will make me be invested in that. I'm already invested in Cody still. I'm wondering where the heck Jade is. I know where Jade is. But I've been watching the talent that has moved. I am very, very excited for the future of wrestling. It's a great time to be a wrestling fan. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. I mean, there's some people talking that this might hurt AEW, but I don't think it will. It might even bring in more revenue for AEW if these two companies merge, because Hey, you look at UFC and WWE under the TKO merger, they're making tons of money regardless. Connor, what are your thoughts on this merger with Paramount and Warner Brothers, and do you think that's going to benefit AEW in the long run?
It really depends on what they want, because remember when WCW was it AOL, and they didn't want wrestling at all. Like, they wanted to do away with wrestling. They didn't want nothing to do with wrestling, but it really depends on what they want. I guess AEW and WWE Discovery has a good relationship connection right now. I guess they do. I know WWE Monday Night Raw is in negotiations to be on TNT, I believe, or TBS. But it really depends on what Paramount wants, because every time there's a merger, people want different things, and not everything's the same as it used to be. But yeah, it'll be very interesting to see if that actually goes through with Paramount and Warner Brothers Discovery.
Yeah, no, it's a very interesting thing, and I actually do remember the whole AOL Time Warner merger, and it being one of the factors as to where WCW was going. You had new execs coming in, changing things up, and they decided they didn't want pro wrestling on their program. And then here swoops in Vince McMahon and basically buys WCW from under the rug. But to the point is, with WWE possibly moving Raw over to like TNT or in that deal, Siren, I know we talk about it. Do you think that much wrestling is too much for one company, or do you think they'll be okay with it?
I mean, I really hope that. I mean, I don't think that there is such thing as too much wrestling, but that's my own personal opinion. So like, at the end of the day, I really hope not. I really think that there is enough space and there's enough people out there who want to watch the content. So why not provide it to them? Why not be the company that is able to provide so much to the people that want to see it? And I mean, there's tons of us out there. Who would love to be able to. I can go to one program to watch all my stuff. I don't have to go to like 800 different programs to watch all my programs. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I think it'd be really cool if I could go to one place and watch it all. It's the same thing again, Forbidden Door. I just want them to work together. I think it'd be really awesome. I think it'd be so cool, and the possibilities would just be absolutely endless. But yeah, I would love it if they were on the same platform. I think it'd be great.
Now, Connor, on that fact, someone like Tony Khan, who's big on the revenue. I mean, we know his dad owns the Jacksonville Jaguars football team, and they're big on revenue. They're big on making money, but also, giving the people what they want. Do you think if this merger happens, do you think Tony Khan becomes less vocal about it and more involved as far as the business side, and kind of keys away from creative and leaves it to other people? Or do you think he stays where he's at?
I think he stays where he's at. I think he mentioned before that WWE Discovery wanted to like have a ownership in AEW, which I hope he doesn't do, because if they ever wanted to cancel AEW, they couldn't go anywhere else. Like, that'd be it. Like, that's what happened with WCW. Like, they owned WCW, then they could just cancel it whenever they wanted to. I would never do that, just because you never know what could change in the future. So if they had to get off, you can go to a different network. If they don't, then they can just flat out cancel it. Then we're just like we were in 2001. But I'm pretty sure Shad Khan's gonna have a lot to do with this. Even though he's kind of a silent partner in this, you don't really see him a lot in AEW or anything around it or like that. But he's technically the owner of AEW. He's the financial backer, but Tony's really the one running it, I guess you'd say. Yeah, it's gonna be very interesting to see what happens in the next few days, because AEW's deal expires in just a few days. It expires. That's going to be interesting to see who gets canceled and who gets put on. That's going to be very interesting.
And that kind of brings me to my point is, we saw it with the merger with WWE, UFC under TKO. You saw a lot of talent released just to save money, and just to change everything up. And we'll be talking about that in a little bit here. But Siren, do you see that as a fear if this merger happens and they do keep AEW? Do you think you look at a downsize of the roster and personnel in AEW?
That would be heartbreaking for me, but you have to understand that when it comes to my AEW talent, like I am emotionally invested in every single person there, even if I don't necessarily enjoy them as wrestlers. Like, you know what I mean? Like, when Fuego del Sol left, like I was crushed. Like, did I enjoy every single Fuego del Sol match? No. But was he my AEW wrestler? Yes. Like, you know, I was sad. And I feel like it's different having the talent to make that decision to move and to grow themselves as talent somewhere else than being like, here's your paper, sorry, you know, like that would make me really sad. That would make me sad. But I mean, I understand the business end of it too, and I mean, at the end of the day, you got to do what you got to do to survive, and I might be heartbroken, but like, I mean, yeah, I'd be bummed out. I think it would suck.
And Connor, to that matter, it's not only a possibility of downsizing personnel in AEW, but Ring of Honor as well. I mean, where do you see Ring of Honor in all of this? You know, if that happens,
probably out of business. I'm not gonna lie. I don't see how
shut your whore mouth.
I don't see how that would survive. I don't see where that would go. I think even if it does merge, they're gonna keep everything the same. I think they're gonna if AEW gets renewed by WB Discovery, they really need to get renewed really, really soon. So they're guaranteed everything that they're gonna get. I think they can keep everything the same. Collision, Dynamite, Rampage, Ring of Honor. They really need to get renewed before that happens. So you already have what you're owed and all that.
I agree.
Right. Be so and Siren, I'm gonna go to you, Siren, because I know you want to talk about your Ring of Honor. So
I love Ring of Honor. I love Ring of Honor. I feel everybody's like it's the new NXT. It's so developmental, but it's not. It's amazing. Ring of Honor is so amazing. If like I don't know, I feel like you can't fully understand all of the little nuances in the storylines that are happening on AEW if you're not watching Ring of Honor. I'm sorry, that's my own little thing. The talent goes back and forth between them like every week, and it may be just for little itty bitty things, but sometimes those little itty bitty things matter. And I would be absolutely crushed if Ring of Honor just like disappeared. I'd be devastated. Where's my Athena? She's probably gonna go to AEW. Are they gonna like turn her into a face again? I don't know, but I'd be sad.
Right. And real quick, just want to introduce to you guys new person just jumping in. Everybody's favorite Midwestern CM Punk, Midwest Punk fan and embarrassed Bears fan, but happy everybody. Packers have been losing. That's also good. And God save the team, fire the McCaskies. I agree.
I had to add it for you. I had to do that.
Apparently, Danny has become Sammy Guevara with cue cards. She's now Danny Guevara. But Danny is here.
Yeah.
So, Danny, we are discussing the possible merger of Paramount and Warner Brothers into one conglomerate and how it affects AEW. I'd like to get your take on if it's a good thing or a bad thing for AEW if they merge.
I'd have to I jumped in because I was having some technical issues, but what Siren was saying about Ring of Honor, again, I'm going to just agree with you. You get these Ring of Honor guys for starters on AEW. You don't know who they are, what they're about, because you don't have a Ring of Honor TV deal. This merging thing, I think, is going to be very interesting. How it affects AEW is going to remain to be seen. But I was also kind of surprised at the meeting that Triple H and Nick Khan had the other day with the whole Warner Brothers Discovery, that if that does go through, AEW might not even have a channel anymore, which is going to be really devastating, I think, for all of us, because we want the alternative and the unpredictable versus the scripted, heavily scripted, like watered down coffee. That's WWE.
Right, and I totally agree. And we were just comparing that to 2001 when WCW closed the doors because of a Time Warner AOL merger, and they didn't want wrestling anymore. and everything like that. So that brings up a really good point. Mike has commented, I tried watching Ring of Honor, but it's just not as good as the OG Ring of Honor, which I kind of agree, but I do like New Day Ring of Honor, but the old day Ring of Honor, if people remember, there was a lot of good talent there. You know, you had CM Punk, you had Bryan Danielson, you had Tyler Black, aka Seth Rollins. You had a slew of good talent in that roster in Ring of Honor back in the day. But this merger thing is just, it's a really big deal, and it could change the whole state of wrestling, on top of what we saw with TKO merging WWE and UFC. Connor, I'll get this last question for you, and then we'll move on to the next topic. My last question for this is, even if this deal goes through with WWE, you know, working with Warner Brothers, do you see it as possibly Hunter being willing to also allow Warner Brothers to work with AEW?
I don't know. That's pretty interesting. I feel like Triple H is, you know, they kind of. I don't know how that would work. I feel like they would just keep one, because WWE Raw is probably majority of money that all three AEW shows combined it would take to run. You know, the production and stuff is a lot different from, you know, WWE to AEW, which I know Triple H doesn't really like Tony. I don't think he does, because of what he said about on Twitter about him.
Kind of deserve that.
But it's really going to depend on what it's really none of their say. It's really what the network wants. You know, if they want both of them, then they can have both of them. Personally, I really hope WWE doesn't get on Warner Brothers Discovery. If they do, that's probably AEW is not going to get in. Then, like that would probably be it.
All right. Well, then, side note for all of you, then a side question, and then we'll move on. Sorry. If it does fall through with AEW, who do you see AEW signing with as far as a streaming or a network to provide the content for? Connor or Siren, I'll start with you.
I mean, who was it that ran heels? Was it Stars?
Stars.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, Stars.
I mean, I don't know. I'm just gonna go with Stars, because I don't do streaming services a whole lot, but I got that one because it was running heels. But mind you, they canceled heels, the bastards. Like, so I don't know. But I mean, whatever it was on, I'd pay for it. I prefer for them to have their own, especially with all the content that they have. And like, I mean, if they made a deal with like New Japan, they're already working with New Japan, AAA, you could put a shit ton of content all in one home. You could make your own streaming service. Welcome to the wrestling, whatever the you want to call it. It doesn't matter. On my phone, all the wrestling. I would love that. But I mean,
and Danny, Danny, what about you? Who would you see as like a streaming or a possible company that can maybe be like, hey, we want to provide wrestling on our stuff?
Well, considering that the Khan family owns Jacksonville Jaguars, and you have a little sport, I wouldn't say a little sport, but a big sport in the midst of its season, played on ESPN. So what if we did AEW on ESPN, much like AWA back in, what was it, like late 80s, early 90s? AWA classic matches were shown on ESPN for a while. I remember watching that when I was a kid. So that's a possible contender right there.
So I do agree that would be interesting. My only concern is ESPN's owned by Disney. And Disney has a lot of say in what content is playing because of the edginess and alternative AEW is. They may not back that for ESPN as much as I would love to see it.
Yeah.
You know, who wouldn't want to be like, oh, I just watched Sports Center. Well, now what are you watching? AEW wrestling, like right after it. Like I just saw highlights from a game, and now I'm watching Adam Copeland spear Christian through a table. That's what I'm watching. But no, I like the
another channel, just as we were talking, and I was thinking, forgive me, I'm totally Christmas out with shopping and everything.
No, you're good.
Another possible channel that I could think of if you streamed would be, again, like what Siren said, could be Stars. That's another one now that you think about it.
I mean, and that's all run through Amazon too. So that opens up a ton of new doors for them as well, because you can literally have your Amazon Prime and be like, I don't want to pay the $12.99 for Stars, but I already have
Right.
Amazon Prime and it's like an extra $3.
Yeah.
Boom. You know what I mean? So like, I mean, it's extra ways for people to have access to that content. Personally, as a Canadian, I can literally get it through TSN. That is it. I get it through TSN, or I can get it through Fight, but they don't air the episodes until a week after. So like the only way that I can
okay.
watch it is like is TSN, and that is it. And it's not even on the like actual TSN. I have to get TSN and then I have to purchase TSN Plus to watch it. So like it's ridiculous for Canadians. So I'm not gonna complain either way. Whichever way they play it, I'm gonna watch it. But it's just unfortunate that it's becoming more inconvenient as a whole.
And I have
And
Hulu,
yeah.
and I get all my cable through Hulu, and I had an issue where I wasn't getting an updated version of Dynamite, but I got Rampage and Collision right away, but I had to wait like a week and a half for Dynamite.
That would drive me nuts, Danny.
Oh
That
my
would drive
God.
me
I
nuts.
was going crazy.
I'm like, I'm gonna come in there and I'm gonna
Yes,
shake
and
you until I get
Thank
my
you.
show.
Exactly.
and Shaggy does make a good point there. Paramount as well is an option, even though they would do this merger. It would be Warner Brothers owning WWE, but it'd be Paramount running AEW. Connor, is that what you think would happen and would work?
No, that would not work. That
No.
they got on WWE Discovery. They don't have a choice. Like I remember Chris Jericho talking about this before AEW started. Like that AEW was going to be on Amazon Prime or something like that, and he said that like you got to have live TV. Like if you go to a streaming service, a lot of things would change. There probably would be a lot of releases and production cut downs, and it wouldn't be the same anymore because compared to a TV contract to a streaming contract for wrestling, I don't know how that would work because there's really never been a big show like that to run on a streaming service. Well, WWE has their pay-per-views, but like live weekly shows, I really think they gotta get that deal with WB Discovery done. They don't have a choice. Like they really got to get that done.
I agree.
Which I believe Tony can get it done. If Tony can get one of the Briscoes on TV, he can get the deal done.
Yeah.
Right, and I agree.
I love your faith.
I love that point, Connor. That's good.
Yeah, no, and I love it, Connor. And it's great that you brought up contracts because that's a great segue for our next topic. As many people know, it's been 90 days since at least 22 superstars were released from WWE. That includes the likes of Dolph Ziggler, Mustafa Ali, Shelton Benjamin, Rick Boggs, Top Dollar. But these are names that are now free to basically compete anywhere. So I guess I'll start with Siren. Out of all the released wrestlers that were contracts that had that compete clause, which of those kind of intrigue you to see get integrated in either AEW or maybe Impact? Do any of those names intrigue you?
Ziggler, and that's Ryan Nemeth's brother, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, him. Yeah, and I mean, I think that's only natural. Because I love his matches, I love his in-ring work. I think he's great, and I think that your brother's already there. Why not? So like, yeah, that's my. I'm not a big WWE, especially modern WWE. Like if you were to like older stuff like that, I mean that's logged away up here somewhere. But newer stuff, like I'm trying, you guys. I'm actively watching the shows, but I just. But I know Dolph Ziggler because I know that he's an Nemeth. So yeah, I would do that.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, no. So I know we don't talk about it much too. Danny, out of those names that I mentioned, there were some big names in there. Are you shocked that you're going to see some of those wrestlers in other stuff and not WWE? Are you shocked by it?
Yes, because one name, Dolph Ziggler in particular, this is a guy that could play a face, play a heel. He had some great ring work, great mic work, and it's a shame that they didn't push him when they could have and they should have. He was very underused. He was a guy that I like, and of course, with his brother being in AEW, I'd like to see him in AEW. I think he would do a lot of good. Another one that I felt was underused was Elias. There was just something about him that made him intriguing. He was like when The Rock would do his concerts back in the day, it was kind of like that, but it was very different. He was fun. They, started pushing him and then he got injured or something. I don't remember. Shelton Benjamin, I still think he can go. I'd like to see him again in AEW because I felt like he wasn't used properly. I can't even think, guys, who was on that list. One of the underwhelming names on the list was Mustafa Ali. I mean, here's a guy who, he's here. Great. He's from Chicago, apparently. Okay. He just shows up. They make him the leader of Retribution, which I thought was interesting at first, but it turned out with him as the leader, I thought was a joke. And it really, Retribution went down. And then you had, who else did you have in there? You had Mason T-Bar, I think it was. That whole stable right there was a joke. What would he do in AEW or TNA but mid-card, lower mid-card?
Right. And Connor, let me ask you this because I know your feelings on it with bloated rosters and everything like that. Would you like to see AEW get a handful of these superstars or maybe like one or two?
One or two. They don't need Top Dollar or Rick Boogs or any of these nobodies. If anyone, Dolph Ziggler and Dolph Ziggler's really the main one. I feel like that really it's gonna be weird seeing him in WWE. That's just not the norm. Like that's not how it's supposed to be. He's been with WWE for 2 decades or a decade.
Yeah.
His entire year, that's gonna be. If anyone, Dolph Ziggler and maybe Shelton Benjamin for a backstage role.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure Shelton Benjamin could do a part-time role in the ring or stuff like that. But if I was Tony, I'd sign them too. But personally, I wouldn't sign any of them. But if I had to, it would just be Ziggler and Shelton Benjamin.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Siren, we're talking about TNA. Someone had mentioned TNA signed some of these people. I kind of agree with TNA should sign some of these guys. I think some of them were flourished over in TNA Impact. I mean, we look at someone like Matt Cardona, who's, basically an indie darling, but he shows up in Impact quite a bit and he gets a great reaction. They've been talking about a surprise signing for them in TNA. My question to you, Siren, is do you think it's one of these names we had mentioned, one of these big names from WWE that they had signed?
I mean, I hope so. Like I said, I've said previously in other podcasts that I really think that there is no promotion that is like a lesser promotion. They just give different experiences and they provide different services and experiences for the talent, right? Like you can do different things at different promotions. You can wrestle different people at different promotions. You can go different places and do different things. And I think that's very important. And it'd be really awesome to see. Like I want to see all the companies come up. Like you have no idea. It makes me happy. Like right now, I think is one of the best times in recent wrestling years, and we have the most eyes on it. And I think it'd be really cool to have some of the bigger talent go to some of the smaller companies.
Same question for you, Danny. Who out of all these wrestlers would you like to actually see in TNA?
If I actually watch TNA, because I don't know where to find it streaming. I just said that out loud. Guys in the chat, don't hate me. Okay. The only name I know in TNA, to be honest with you, is Moose. If he's still there, that's the only one that I know of. And
he's still there. Yeah, he's still there.
The Motor City Machine Guns. I don't know. I feel like some of them would fit in TNA. I think Top Dollar maybe in TNA just because I can't see him in AEW. I don't think he'd fit, but he might fit with Swerve, seeing he was part of Hit Row. Mustafa Ali definitely to TNA. I think he would fit well there. Whatever, but definitely not Ziggler because I think he's too big and he's got too much talent where I feel like he would almost waste it in TNA.
Right. And one name we haven't brought up yet, and Connor, I'll ask you this one because you might get a kick out of it, but Matt Riddle, another one who was released from WWE because of his, conduct. do you see him wrestling anymore if he does decide to go back? I know he's been talking about maybe going back to MMA, but if he does continue to do the wrestling thing, I mean, do you see him having a chance anywhere, whether it's TNA or AEW?
No. I don't think, but I saw someone posted on Twitter that he's going to be wrestling at MLW against Jacob Fatu, I believe, in January. I believe he's going back to MLW. I think he originally was there before he got signed to WWE. So maybe he goes to MLW. I don't know if AEW would sign him. That would be interesting. I know WWE probably has no interest in signing him again. With the TNA people, they've got a big signing coming up at their the first event that TNA is back, Hard to Kill. I think that big name is either Mercedes Moné or Dolph Ziggler, because like they're really hyping this up as the biggest name they've signed in a long time. Like Scott D'Amore was on Busted Open, and he said that they've embarked on a big money deal with a really big free agent, so it's got to be Mercedes or Dolph Ziggler. But
I would really love to see Mercedes over there.
Yeah, Trinity is in TNA too. So.
Right, and that was the next thing. Like that's another name I was going to bring up, and just pretty much ask the ladies on it. Siren, I mean, where do you see Mercedes going? There's been talks that she might even go back to WWE. So, where do you see her going?
I feel like that would be kind of I mean, like, people do that though, right? Like, they go out from whatever company they're working at, they do a little stint in New Japan, get some experience in a different style of environment and different training environment and whatnot, and go out and come back. I mean, it wouldn't be unheard of if she were to go back to WWE. Do I think that would be the best place for her? I mean, I don't watch WWE, and I'd really like to watch more of her content. So I'm trying to watch WWE. But yeah, no, I think it would be really cool to have her. I don't think it'd be AEW. I know that she did show up to one of the pay-per-views, and they definitely panned the camera to her when she was still injured quite a bit. But I really do think it was more she was there to support her friends in the female division. I really do think it was just to support the company and her friends there, because she had just wrestled with a bunch of AEW women, like not too long before that in the Women's Strong Tournament. So I think that's great. But yeah, like I think definitely TNA would be a really good spot for her. It'd be a good fit.
And Danny, how about you?
Well, if I can go back to an old employer and do for 10 years and 15 years, then who's to say that Mercedes Moné can't go back to WWE? And it would be interesting with this now being exclusively Triple H run company, because how do we know she didn't feel comfortable when Vince was there with the allegations that were going, that he, had with the sexual assault and whatever? How do we know that she didn't leave because she didn't feel comfortable around him? There's that possibility. But then having her in AEW, if booked right, she could add some pop to that women's division.
Right. And I totally agree. So with that said, before we go on to another thing, let's go to some of the comments to see what some of them want, what some people are saying. For instance, yes. All right. Ghostblade, thank you for watching, says all the brands do one huge merger. LOL. Hey, in a dream world, that would be perfect. If we can just get all our wrestling content under one umbrella. Mike says, I don't like hearing the word merger just because of what happened with WCW. Agreed. We all are familiar with AOL and Time Warner. Impact Wrestling can be watched on Impact Plus and Pluto TV in terms of streaming services. I've watched a couple of episodes and a couple of matches from some stuff from Impact because I'm still a fan of that too. So those are some of the stuff you can watch them on. If anybody here is interested in watching TNA Impact, I highly recommend it. They've got some great talent over there as well, and they have worked with AEW in the past, and I'm hoping they do more of it in 2024. Mike says, I think TNA is going to be adding their channel into more homes. I agree. I think TNA will be streaming a lot more in homes, especially for people that are looking for an alternative to WWE. So definitely excited to see where that goes. So I think, Paul, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
Oh, hey, Paul. Thank you. So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome one of our newer members. I believe he's going to be part of AEZ Canada. He's one of our new friendly northern neighbors. Please welcome Paul to the podcast. Paul, thank you for joining us, bud.
Oh,
Hey,
no
Paul.
problem at all. Love talking to more people about wrestling, and hearing new opinions and new options.
Right. Well, we're just moving on now. We talked about people that are now free to do stuff. Let's talk about people that have just re-signed. The Mysterios, Ray and Dominic, have just signed new contracts with WWE. From what I've read, for new information, Ray's contract is looks like is for a span of 3 years, where Dom's is for 5 years. So let's talk about this. I mean, this is talking about the longevity of one name, one family staying in one promotion for a long time. So for you, I guess I'll start with you, Paul, since you just hopped on. Now that they're signed, where do you see them go with the Mysterios? I mean, Dom, obviously in Judgment Day, Ray kind of being a leader, out injured. Do you see we circle back to a feud between both of them?
I don't know if you dip your toe too much into it, or if they want to save that for maybe a possible retirement or something. But I don't know. I think the potential with especially that family is endless right now, because Ray has so much experience. You can put him with any new talent and help them develop skills. Dominic is learning so fast. You can put him with anyone and they'll get over. So I think give him 10 years and Dom might be like main event WrestleMania worthy. You never know.
Oh, people hate him so much. It's wonderful.
Mhm.
That man
Yeah,
has got
it really
such
is.
good heat. Oh man, when you have to
Uh-huh.
scream into the microphone, you're like, yay. I love it.
Yeah, and it's the perfect heat because everyone's in on it. It's not too like, I don't know. I don't want to say like smart mark heat. It's very we're all here for fun, and we're all having. We all just want to boo.
Exactly. And it makes it so much more enjoyable, like as a crowd together. Some
And
crowds are so
Siren,
amazing.
yeah, let me bring that up to you, Siren, because you mentioned him that you still love Cody Rhodes, or not
Yeah.
Cody Rhodes. Yeah, you love Cody Rhodes.
Yeah.
I mean, he had a great feud with Judgment Day on top of with Dominic. I mean, that's a big name that Dominic wrestled in a feud. And now he's going to be wrestling CM Punk. Is this just elevating Dominic a lot more, even if he takes a loss to CM Punk?
100% it is, because I mean, you're getting in there with those big names, they're being talked about, therefore people are going to be talking about you, not like people are not talking about Dominic. I mean, let's face it, dirty Dom's everywhere. But like I think it's going to be really good for him whether he takes an L or not. I mean, you're very right, for sure.
Now, Danny, to you as that too is we're still learning about CM Punk's contract. For as far as that, I mean, Punk's 45 years old, but he's still looking in great shape. And he's got that match with Dominic. A lot of people don't know this, but CM Punk did feud with Ray for a while in WWE, back when he was with the Straight Edge Society. Like, to you, is this great storytelling, or is it just something that cashes in on nostalgia?
I think it's great storytelling because, as Siren was saying, I the only person I can think of that has nuclear heat like that is Don Callis.
Yeah, it's so good.
Ray and Don Callis. Okay, moving on. But Ray, though, I mean, he's young. He's like, what is he, 23, 25, about that, mid-20s.
Yeah, he's 25,
Yeah, in about 5 to 7 years, he's going to be elevated to a degree because, remember, he was born in this business. And I think Punk is going to be a great opponent for him, because Punk can work with him as a veteran and show him this is what you do in the ring, as opposed to Ray showing him you learn from a veteran and not the parent, because the parent obviously is going to have the different teaching style than like a teacher would, so to speak. So, and I think that's going to be great for Dom. And I actually get a kick out of the heel heat. I think it's amazing. I think for somebody to be hated that much that lets you know that you're doing your job correctly.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And Connor, for this too, we like I said, Ray's contract is for 3 years. Do you think this is his final 3 years in professional wrestling? Do you see him retiring after this 3-year contract's up?
Yeah, probably. So I don't know what he's basically done everything in WWE. He's won every title. He's done everything really. After this 3 years up, I think he probably will end up hanging up the boots. Maybe he transitions into a backstage role in the WWE. Maybe he does. He's a coach at the Performance Center. Maybe he does. I don't know. But I think he's in his 40s. Rey Mysterio.
Yeah, about that.
I think after 3 years, that would probably be it. And then him passing the torch to Dominic Mysterio.
Yeah, that's good stuff. And then more news came out today. Bayley has just signed a multi-year deal with WWE, sticking with the company. Apparently, she's well liked backstage, and everybody respects her and everything like that. As recently mentioned in the news, that Charlotte had signed a long-term contract, so WWE is stuck with Charlotte Flair until she breaks her father's record. But Siren, how do you feel about some of these female wrestlers now getting these long-term deals because the company has faith with them?
I am a huge fan. I've always been like growing up with it, obviously with my brothers and stuff, like 6 older brothers. Okay. Female wrestling was not female wrestling back in the day. Like women's wrestling wasn't women's wrestling. It was hair pulling and bra and panties matches and like slapping each other. It wasn't wrestling. Like, oh no, she got hit in the tit. Like it was unfortunate, right? It's true. You know what I'm talking about, Danny. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're like, this is like, I mean, yeah, that hurts, but that ain't gonna like drop me. Like, I'm gonna get mad. I don't know. But like, I'm really glad. I'm so glad that these women are actually being taken seriously, because some of them have like phenomenal talent, and just like watching the ring is just like mind blowing. For like when I was little, watching Lita was like, wow.
Yeah.
And like watching some of these women now is like, well, like, holy crap. So yeah, no, I'm super proud of them, and I'm very excited that the companies are finally starting to getting it. Like,
yeah, and Danny, to that extent, if AEW does sign some more contracts, longevity, who are some of the female wrestlers you want to see stick around on that roster in AEW?
My first favorite is Britt Baker, and I've said this before, and number one, to be a dentist is one thing, because that is a very hard thing to achieve. And at first I was trying to figure out like why a dental gimmick, because I'm thinking, logically Isaac Yankem, Kane is Isaac Yankem. So I looked her up and I go, oh my God, she's a dentist. Holy shit. Like, this is surreal. And then to top it off, to work for a company like AEW, and I read somewhere that her dental office gives her off 1 day a week to fly in and from Dynamite or whatever Collision. But to be a dentist, one, to work with your hands and work with patients, and then number two, to be a pro wrestler at the same time, like a part-time job. I mean, when you think about it, she lands wrong like this or something on her wrist, whatever, seriously injured, she is most likely not able to see patients because she can't work with her hands. So for her to stick around, yes, because she is a role model and she's amazing. Other people I'd like to see stick around, Toni Storm, obviously, because of this gimmick. Jamie Hayter, for her as well. And who else would I like to see stick around? WWE, if she can not injure people, Nia Jax, because she's just like, yes, because of her presence. Now, if someone properly trained her and she was more careful, she would be considered, better in the ring. But I'm a little, skeptical when you watch her matches because she injures people. Other people I'd like to see stick around AEW. Tony, Jamie, Britt.
As long as Marina Shafir isn't staying, we're good.
Yeah, I was waiting for it. I was like, where's the Marina coming?
And I'm excited to see more of Mariah May, because she does add a certain adorable quality to the Toni Storm. WWE, I'm going to have to say definitely Bayley. And of course, I mean, like you said, they're not going to get rid of Charlotte until she breaks the record.
Right, and I guess I can ask the same question to the guys, because like me, I'm starting to like. I mean, I was a fan of the women's revolution in the mid 2015s, that they finally gave women a chance to show wrestling. You know,
Yeah,
growing up,
actual wrestling.
I was always watching the the divas, or Trish Stratus, Lita, Molly Holly, Jackie, China. Those were my women wrestlers back in the day. Those are who I grew up with. And seeing some of these new female wrestlers come up, I mean, you've got some very good young talent too. I guess I'll ask Paul. I mean, Paul, out of the young female talent in the pool of pro wrestling today, who really stands out to you that you see that should get a long-term contract with someone, if not they're already signed with?
Well, I'm going to be that guy and bring up Riho and Yuka Sakazaki as the two girls that were like, every time I saw them, the crowd had to be won over by them. But by the end of the match, they were fully on board. And that's what you need. Plus, they're a super small body type, which is a little bit different. When you're 130 pounds, you can kind of be thrown around. They have such wonderful costumes and characters, and it's so exciting seeing that style of wrestling in America.
And you're talking about the Joshi style of wrestlers, the Japanese style of wrestling.
So AEW, I think in COVID, they had a split tournament between the Joshis and their wrestlers, and whoever won on each side of the bracket would meet. And I loved what the women on the Japanese side were doing, because it was just different. It was just different people, different characters, and they were trying new things. And I find that so refreshing when someone is willing to go, hey, let's just try this. Let's just see if it works. If it does, it does. If it doesn't, whatever. And that's what I want to see. I want to see creativity on the screen and different moves and different setups. And that's what those girls are really known for.
And then the side question to that, Paul, is what WWE's doing now. Getting Kairi Sane back and putting her with Io Sky and Asuka and Asuka and Damage Control, and even showcasing Shinsuke a little more. Do you think that Triple H was noticing that both the Japanese style and Joshi that was getting over? Do you think he kind of realized that, or do you think he knew it all along?
I think he probably knew it, because he grew up in the business with Sean Waltman, and apparently Sean Waltman is known as a big tape watcher. He loves finding matches. He loves finding new promotions. So I feel like we all sort of know of, oh, these guys did such excellent work in Japan. People always focus on, let's say, the Westerners when they go to Japan. Oh, Benoit did a bunch of good work, or Angle did good work. But a lot of people forget who they did good work with. So now those people are getting kind of noticed. So they're getting options in America.
I love
like
that.
Shinsuke was always one of those guys that was just amazing and willing to work with foreigners. But I think the other problem is that with guys like Naito or Okada or whatever, those big names, they would never leave New Japan. So it's hard to speculate, because they're there for life. But you never know if someone like Shingo Takagi just says, you know what, I'm going to go to AEW and I'm going to see what this is about. Or my buddy Will went there, so I'm going to go check it out. So it is interesting seeing, what people's options are, especially with the state of New Japan now. You never know who's going to get snagged in the next big contract.
Mm-hmm. Right, and I agree, because we just saw Will Ospreay sign a contract with AEW, and he was huge in New Japan. They loved him over there, and now he's over.
Was a big name, yeah.
Aussie Open was in New Japan. You said it. Suzuki has come over to AEW. You get all these New Japan guys coming over, and one thing I love is lucha. I love lucha wrestling, and the fact that they're introducing a lot of these AAA guys on the program. It's awesome. It's opening more eyes, not just to WWE and AEW, but also around the world kind of type wrestling, because a lot of people don't know about the Lucha Libre and, the New Japan style of wrestling. So it's very exciting to see all those wrestlers being featured. Before we move on, let's get to some of these comments that many of our great viewers are leaving. Let's see here. Given the years listed on Mysterio's contracts, I feel to end Ray's contract, circle back to the father-son feud leading to Ray's retirement, given Luke Darth Vader vibes. I actually like that.
Yes.
Which means you would have to see maybe Dominic not be in Judgment Day and kind of just focus on his father, or just him and Rhea Ripley together. But that's not a bad idea. Next we've got Jesse saying some fun stuff. Next, Jacob. Hey Paul, how's it going?
Imagine good.
Okay.
Good
Yeah. This one, give Cora Jade a shot at the main roster in 2024. And Devin says Cora Jade. Yeah, this is another one. Cora Jade has been away for a while, doing some big things. But but she recently returned and is now thrust. I mean, we just saw backstage videos this week of CM Punk greeting her and being proud because he did meet her back when he was, back in the day. She was a big CM Punk fan, and they showed that video of her crying meeting CM Punk, and now they're both in the same company. It's something great to see when someone that was a fan of yours is now in the same company as you. And that's such a warm feeling. And it's such a giving hope to young talent. And that's something real quick. Let's go over before we move on to this. But Connor, I want to get your thoughts because you know everything about wrestling, especially AEW.
He really does.
So
really
in
does.
AEW, of a lot of the
does.
young guys, I mean, we hear stories about some of them not wanting to listen to some of the older talents, but some of the young talent, I mean, do you see them like just finally learning, hey, these guys are right, I need to start listening to them?
I'll go back to my wrestling training. It was very Southern. Basically, it was similar to what CM Punk went through in IWA. You always try to soak up any kind of knowledge you can get from anyone. It doesn't matter if they're a veteran, they're young, have experience. You just try to acknowledge anything you can get because you just take it and you run with it. There's a lot of people who are think it's their way or no way, which I've seen that happen a few times, and let's just say it doesn't end well for the people who think that. I've seen it all. Some things I can't even say on here, but I think in WWE, I think in WWE a lot, and probably in AEW, a lot of wrestlers are going to veterans and stuff. I know CM Punk went to the Performance Center not too long ago. He was there for like 3 days straight and just training talent and training people. What was the original question? I know I kind of sidetracked.
No, just asking that. Do you see, young talent finally going, hey, maybe I should start listening to some of these veterans and, kind of take them, to heart.
Yeah, I think WWE, they are a lot. AEW, I don't know. I know a lot of people have been saying that, or at least Tully Blanchard and Arn Anderson and stuff like that, but, I don't really know if they are or not. I know Darby Allin is one of the best examples of like gaining knowledge from Sting, CM Punk, Edge, Christian. He's worked with all these people, and he's probably like the true one to just sit back and just take knowledge from all these people. And
can I play devil's advocate with that one? Because he totally does take their advice and he runs with it and he listens to it. He takes it into account. But a lot of the things that they do say about being safer with your body and stuff like that, he doesn't. And I mean, on the other side of it, taking the advice is really, really good and listening to their advice is really, really good. But in that industry, if you have like a solid gut feeling about something that you're going to do, I mean, unless it's like, I don't know, maybe dangerous, but like, I mean, if you have that moment, you sometimes you got to shoot your shot. That's why they call it a shoot, right? Like sometimes, but like, I definitely take the advice of veterans and run with it. But, I mean, look at what people do in the indies and stuff like that just to get
Mm-hmm.
noticed. Like, I'm sure that if somebody came into some of these indie shows that I've been doing, we're like, hey, you probably shouldn't do that. Well, yeah, you probably shouldn't. But at the same time, what if that one guy was there and he saw me do that and was like, you know what, that was bitching, like, right? And so I just there is definitely take that advice for sure. Be aware, be safe, but also you have to listen to your gut a little bit. I
Mhm.
mean, like a little bit. You know, you didn't get where you were, you didn't get noticed, you didn't get to where you were without putting a little bit of you in there, and sometimes maybe taking a little bit of a risk that you probably shouldn't have. But like everybody has that one story as a wrestler who, like, you know, they told me I shouldn't have done this, and I did it, and it was banging. You know, like, so I mean, agreed. You should definitely listen, but at the same time, shoot your shot.
And I totally agree. And Danny, to stem off of that,
Mhm.
I mean, we just recently saw a string of injuries this entire year to pro wrestlers. You know, with Adam Cole, MJF, Charlotte Flair just recently got hurt. You saw a lot of wrestlers with neck injuries this year. Do you
Ouch,
think
I
that
know.
taking the advice of veterans and being more cautious, do you think that will cut down on injuries in pro wrestling, or do you think they're just going to keep doing what they're doing?
I say take the advice of a veteran. And I'd like to also bring my background as a teacher in here too, because a lot of, the kids that I've worked with, we've got high school students. I've been, that supervising teacher, and I've just said, hey, that was great, but, you could also try it this way, see if that works or if this works. And I do agree too, Adam, that the amount of injuries with the different style that is AEW specifically from WWE, where it's more, it's basically, I don't know, it's got more like protection from, their trainers, whatever, where again, AEW is that backyard wrestling where you're jumping off the roof onto a mattress, things like that. That's kind of what I'm thinking. And who didn't, I mean, who didn't jump on an old mattress and do somersaults on it like they were doing gymnastics? Everybody, I did. Me and my sisters both did. But still, I think listening to your veterans is a good idea because they know they've been there. You can, get a serious injury. I mean, again, who remembers Sid jumping off that top rope? There you go. High risk move, ruined his career.
I mean, that just brings me back. That's kind of comparison of Sid. Fast forward to with both what happened with Dante and Ray Phoenix.
Yes, absolutely.
Just the same things.
Yeah.
It's cringe to watch constantly.
It really is.
But I guess the good thing is that all the promotions do have a steady staff of experts on there for medical help and all that stuff. Can't say the same for a lot of other independent companies that can't afford it. Heck, I remember the one story. It was I keep forgetting his name, but it was someone and Paul, you might help me out here, but it was a match in, I think, Lucha or AAA. Rey Mysterio was in it. He drop kicked some guy into the rope, and the guy actually hurt his back went out, and he had a heart attack right there. He was basically unconscious.
I may be misremembering the story, but from what I remember, it was like a special thing where he got hit in between like a heartbeat, something like that, where it's like super freak accident, but it's just boom, and his heart kind of just stopped. And I did hear a case of this happening in field lacrosse. There was a goalie, and the guy took a shot, and it hit him right, like in the chest, right in between heartbeats. And apparently, if you do that hard enough, your heart will just turn off.
Mm-hmm.
Right, so and that's what I'm getting at. It's freak accidents, but going back to the whole medical staff thing, where you see bigger promotions have a better staff than some of these smaller ones, because it took the medical staff like 5-10 minutes just to get him out of the ring and try to figure out what was wrong with him. And at that point, he was basically dead. So I mean, it's unfortunate, but that's the benefit of having good medical staff in your company, which is why I hope that protocols are better in 2024. We don't see as many injuries as pro wrestling as we did this year, because there was a lot, especially in AEW. AEW had a ton of injuries this year, and it's very sad to see some of those guys and gals not even wrestle. I mean, we missed pretty much a whole year of Jamie Hayter. Adam Cole was 50-50 the whole year, and now, with the ankle now MJF was hampering some injuries. But hopefully starting next year, we start seeing some better medical stuff and more safer stuff so nobody can get hurt. Speaking of next year, that's one topic we're about to get to now. Our faithful leader in AEW, MJF, his contract ends on January 1st, 2024. Now, there is speculation about him, maybe trying to go to WWE, especially with his relationship with Cody. But for you guys, I'm just reading recently that he mentioned that he would love to stay in AEW. He wants to blame fans for leaking information that they want to think is true. That it was all part of a storyline, and he's basically locked into a deal with AEW. Now, question for you, Connor. Do you think this is part of a storyline, or do you honestly think that he's still open to maybe looking at different contract options in 2024?
I think it's both. He hasn't signed a deal, but it is going to be part of a storyline because he's been doing this since 2021. He's been this for a while.
Yeah.
He's been. Oh yeah. I think he's going to run this all the way till January 1st. He's going to run it. And I really hope he takes a picture. He goes to WWE headquarters and just takes a picture in front of it. He's not even signing there just to create just get people talking. I can see him doing that. Well,
100%.
I don't know.
So MJF.
I know heel MJF would, but
heel MJF would.
I think he's going to stay because they got the Devil storyline going, and if he leaves, they kind of drugged us out, and if he's gone, what's the sense of even continuing it, So I think he maybe has a shake. He's not going to tell anybody if he's signed or not signed. The only people who know that are Tony and MJF, but I really hope he does resign. But if he does leave, I would like to see Punk and MJF 3 because we still haven't got that last match. But I hope he stays with AEW.
And Siren, with MJF, he's been such a we could say a pillar. He's been with them since day one.
100%.
And everything like that. If he leaves, it's almost got a Cody feel, where Cody left and there was, okay, how do we continue? Who's in charge? How do we continue with this? If MJF stays, do you see him keeping the title in 2024 as well?
I don't think he'll keep it for all of 2024. Don't get me wrong. I would totally love a Roman Reigns-esque MJF reign. I wouldn't complain. I love him. I love him so much. And heel MJF, face MJF, I don't care. Give me MJF.
Yeah.
I'm so there. But yeah, I don't know if he would keep it the whole year. I definitely think there are so many people out for him, but that would be absolutely wonderful, wouldn't it, if he kept it all year and there's these people just gunning for it? I don't know about y'all, but for the first bit that he had that title and he wasn't wrestling, thank you, Adam Cole, thank you, because now he's out there almost every week. I get to see my man, and it's nice, and I love it. So I really hope that he keeps it. I really hope people keep gunning for him, just because that means more MJF matches for me. So.
Yeah, and on that topic too, with not just the title but the contract, Danny. With other contracts that are possibly up in 2024, we're not talking about them. There's a few that may be up this 2024. What wrestler on AEW would you be shocked to see leave in 2024 when their contract's up?
Oh, good question.
And you can't say Wardlow because you love him.
Oh yes, I like her. She's a Max fan. I'm a Wardlow and Max fan, and actually, Wardlow's head of security. Okay, I can yell at people, and I'm pretty good with my hands. Okay, I honestly would be surprised if my second favorite, and I don't know how Miss Siren feels about Mr. Starks. Oh, be still my heart, Mr. Starks. Oh, yes. I love him. I would be shocked if he went back to WWE, or sorry, if he went to WWE, I would be surprised. I think he's doing great where he is. But then the name that I was thinking about the other day, we got a cup of haters, Mr. Enzo Amore. Now,
Yeah.
Bill, okay, Starks, they're doing pretty good. They're pretty funny. I loved the vanilla midget rock comment that Edge made, and then the one that when Jericho said something about Starks was dressed like a not cheap knockoff version of Enzo Amore. What if, okay, Starks goes over WWE, he's friends with Cody. Cody talks them into signing Enzo and Cass again.
I mean, that's ballsy, especially with.
Yeah.
I see where you're going with that.
Yeah.
But the issue with that is with Enzo.
Yeah.
It's all on Enzo. Enzo's got so much baggage to him, whether
Mhm.
it's legal issues or
Sure.
accusations, and just his attitude.
Mhm.
I don't think he gets the right rub. I know that last run that he had when he was the cruiserweight champion, and he had that
Yeah.
old feud with Pac back when Pac was Neville still.
Sure.
You know, yeah. So I mean, it's very hard when you leave on a sour note. It was just like what Connor was saying with Matt Riddle. I don't think WWE would re-sign Matt Riddle unless he becomes
No.
a Saint.
Yeah.
But Matt Riddle is Matt Riddle. You're not going to change him, just like you're not going to change Enzo. Enzo's
Right.
going to stay Enzo. He's not going to change for anybody. If you listen to his interviews on Busted Open, he's exactly the same as he is in the ring.
Can I counterpoint that though for a moment? Because
Yeah.
WWE does still employ Randy Orton, so I feel like
Thank
they are definitely open to you obviously have put some work into yourself and you're trying to better yourself. Okay, we're gonna look at that and see if that kind of opens up a few doors, because yeah, they even let Warrior come back and he's got a rocky history too. So I think there's a lot of like, all right, well, let's just see how this plays out. If you want to kind of bury the hatchet, then let's ride this out and see what happens.
Right, and I totally agree, Paul, and that's why I said if Enzo can kind of clean up, maybe they bring him back, because you do bring a point with Randy Orton. Randy Orton, I think, did an interview with Logan Paul, and he was talking about how he was just a punk ass back in his early days in WWE, and he was just the way he was because he was scared, because he was scared that he wasn't going to be accepted by the boys in the locker room. So he became an a-hole in his own words. But he's kind of matured over the years. He said that pairing with Matt Riddle surprisingly saved his career, and kind of changed him for the better. So it's all for me. I'm hoping Enzo, can go back to his ways of, maybe good ways, and, keep his character, but also just be cool. Like, don't do anything stupid outside of the company. Don't assault women. Don't berate women on the microphone. Don't, it's all that stuff. But, as we're talking about, all these people leaving AEW, Paul, I'll get to you since we're talking WWE. Who over in WWE that hasn't signed a long-term contract? And there's a lot of them in 2024 that are up, that are going to be available free agents. Who's one name in WWE whose contract is up next year that you'd love to see try out and do something at AEW?
Oh, I'd have to look at the list specifically, but there's a lot of people. Like, I would love to see someone like Finn Balor like hop over. Again, I'd have to look at the list specifically to know, but I'll just think of a couple like names off the top of my head. Hopefully I don't name every person that just signed a long-time contract, but there's lots of people that would, I think, fit. Like Kevin Owens is like, that's all his friends over there, right? So I think he would fit perfectly in that kind of environment. Even if there was a someone of a long timer in WWE that left, like if a Seth Rollins left, like I know they got Edge, but Edge is a bit older. I feel like if they nabbed that young talent, that would just make waves. I don't know. I'd have to look at the list.
So I did pull it up a little bit. There's a few names that I pulled up. So some of the big names you're looking at that are on that list is is Sheamus, Becky Lynch.
That's it. End the list right there.
Yeah.
If Sheamus would leave WWE, he's one of my guys where I'm like, oh, please go anywhere and just fight big lads. Go fight Keith Lee. Go to New Japan and fight Great O'Khan. Just I want to see you just beat the bollocks of other dudes. But I think he's one of those guys in WWE where it's like he's kind of done it all, like I don't know. I feel like if he left and maybe even did like a Matt Cardona indie run, like just go through the indies and just beat the tar out of everyone, and then you can put over a super young baby face on your way out. But yeah, he's definitely the guy I would love to see go anywhere.
So before I ask the rest of you guys who you'd see jump WWE to AEW, a couple more names on this list are Wade Barrett, Sami Zayn. We mentioned Seth Rollins. Ricochet is another one who's on this list. Let's see. All of New Day, their contracts expire in 2024. Montez Ford is looking to maybe sign, but one of the other big names on here is Drew McIntyre. And we've seen him go over to Impact. He was Impact champion for a couple of times over there. He kind of, changed before coming back to WWE. So, I mean, he's one name I would like to see do a little something like just a couple of matches in AEW. I don't know if I would sign him full time just because he'd be worth a lot. And it all depends on the deal that AEW is trying to get with Warner Brothers. But he's one of the names that stuck out to me as a free agent in 2024. And I'd love to see him, go against Wardlow or, go against, someone like a Luchasaurus or someone big like a Keith Lee. These are matches I'd love to see him have. Danny, I guess we'll go to you. Who's one name in WWE in 2024 would you like to see jump from WWE to AEW?
Oh, good question. I'm gonna pick two. First one, and I'm gonna agree with Paul there that I think Kevin Owens would fit very well in AEW because he's friends with Paige, he's friends with the Elite. Another one who I feel like would do well over there is Seth Rollins. And I could kind of see a Rollins Mox reunion. Tyler Black, Blackpool Combat Club, because remember they are Becky and Seth do have I think her name is Rue or something, cute little thing, and your AEW travel schedule is considerably lighter than WWE.
Right. And actually, to that point, one of our viewers actually comment saying, Jesse comment, I don't see Rollins ever leaving WWE to join AEW, which I kind of agree with because he is very loyal to WWE. They've treated him very well. Even in 2013, 2014, he had the leaked photos or whatever, and they were still behind him.
Yeah.
They were still behind him. They just said, hey, don't do it again. Slap on the wrist. This is what you got to do to work yourself back up. And he did. He did it. He put the work in.
Absolutely.
I'm not a fan of his laughing character at all, but I understand his loyalty to WWE. So I don't see him or even Becky Lynch leaving WWE anytime soon, even with that schedule. I think WWE is starting to lean towards a little more of, hey, here's a little bit of time you guys can spend with your family. But you are right. The AEW schedule is lighter, that you could see some of those people that have, families really want to come over AEW with that lighter schedule. Siren, how about you? What is one name that sticks out in WWE that you'd like to see come over to AEW?
I mean, aside from Rollins, because I totally think that would be awesome, and I love Seth Rollins.
Yes.
I am gonna go with Ricochet. I like Ricochet's in-ring ability.
Yeah,
I like
I do
how
too.
flippy and talented he is. I love how he is so coordinated and he can just land some of these things. I'm like, I would never, like, I can't. Wow. And I think that he's very underrated. I think that it would be really cool to put him in there. There's so many flippy, awesome, wicked, like, energetic wrestlers that you could put him up against in AEW, and I think that he would really flourish on his own in singles there, or even part of a tag or trios, because there's enough talent, and I think he would do well.
And just a suggestion to you, Siren, if you're open to more wrestling options as far as old school wrestling, it's not really old school, but it's been before. I would highly recommend watch Lucha Underground because Ricochet was also in that promotion as Prince Puma, and I think he did some of his best work, I think, in Lucha Underground. I think he had some of the best matches in Lucha Underground. That's nothing to take away from what he's been doing in WWE, but I think he's done some of his best work there as the Prince Puma moniker.
I think having sorry to cut you off, but I think
go ahead, Paul.
I think having Conan as his manager definitely helped him out because he always struggled with promos. So if you put him together with anyone who's a master promo, you have just absolute fire.
Right, and I totally agree. I think that was the perfect pairing in Lucha Underground was him and Conan. I think the fact that he never really talked as Prince Puma, he just he just spoke through his wrestling, and he had so many great spots in Lucha Underground that I really think that WWE downplayed a lot of some of the stuff he was allowed to do in Lucha, and he wasn't allowed to do in WWE NXT. And I don't think he was really to his full potential, even on the main roster. He won, some gold on the main roster, but I don't think he reached his full potential. Where I agree with Siren, you bring him to AEW, hell, even Impact, I think he can do his full potential because I'd love to see him on Impact. I mean, who wouldn't want to see him go, one-on-one with Chris Sabin or, someone like Alexander, there's so many possibilities you can have Ricochet over and that X division too. So many great matches in that X division if you bring him over there. Connor, who's one person in WWE you'd like to see in AEW or in even Impact?
Someone from WWE, Wade Barrett probably. I'd like to see him be the leader of the Blackpool Combat Club. I feel like they still need that voice because William Regal was their voice. They don't really have that anymore.
Yeah,
I agree. I miss Regal.
I like that.
And I am sick of Moxley. I am sick of it. Like I don't even like that. I don't even like that song anymore. That Wild thing.
Right?
It doesn't really do anything for his character. Like, we were sitting there in the section that we had at Wintrust. He like literally came out like right in front of us. Yeah. And I kind of had a feeling it was going to happen because there was like an official go back, out to the, to the main concourse. And if I would have taken that potty break, I could have seen, Mox. But the song, for whatever reason, does not fit him. I'm not sure why. It reminds me of karaoke with a bunch of drunk frat boys, college kids singing it. Like they do that, here where I live, and it's a college town. And I feel like he needs something more grittier for that entrance. He needs something edgier.
I think Moxley, he needs to go back to the 2019, 2021 Moxley, the unscripted violence. He was basically the Stone Cold Steve Austin of AEW.
Right.
I was there in South Haven when he joined the Inner Circle for a few seconds, and then he smashed a beer bottle for the Jericho bubbly on the Chris Jericho. Like he was basically the Stone Cold of AEW. I still like Moxley, but I think someone like Wade Barrett coming in and like you guys suck now. Like ever since you lost your mouthpiece, so he comes in and like his voice fits that group.
Agreed.
He's 7 foot tall. Like I have someone that met him and like he looks like he's taller than the Big Show. Some people say that he's really really big. So seeing him like managing like Wheeler Yuta and Claudio would be pretty interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I think the reason why Moxley has that wild thing is it's his ties to Cleveland, where he's from, and it's just it's just something to him that kind of speaks to him. I don't like the song either. It's kind of, grown out of me. I'm like, when it first happened, it was cool.
To Onita, right? Because he's
Yeah,
a big,
I think so. Yeah, he's a big
he
Onita. Yeah.
loves Onita, but this might be an example of something that works 20 years ago in Japan, and today it's just sort of like.
I just think he needs a whole character revamp anyway, because after he got sober, to Connor's point, he definitely was a lot more of like that rowdy kind of like Steve Austin vibe. But he was also a drunk. Like he was probably drunk when he was doing that. And yeah, I think he needs a total like revamp, and he's trying, but you're right, they don't have a mouthpiece. They can't really like, because he has been trying. He's almost doing that like Dean Ambrose kind of promo-y almost, like it's just the way he's speaking is a little, I don't know. I just think it's a little bit different, but I think that he needs to do something else. And it's because he doesn't have that wild thing anymore. He is now a sober dad of a tiny adorable
he's
baby.
literally a dad.
He is cute. Yeah.
Like, so like, I mean, I feel like he can still be a badass without having to be like a drunk, crazy rambunctious badass. He can just like, I would love to see him as like a sick, twisted, like, but like really play into it. Like, I don't know. Right now he's just like, I like to bleed and make other people bleed, but like, why?
I think that
he's great at it, though, to be fair.
Oh yeah, I mean 150%, man. Like 150%.
Yeah. What were you saying? What were you saying, Connor?
I think Moxley can talk. He's always been able to talk on the mic, but as a group, I feel like they need a mouthpiece. But personally, if he wants to get, which I think he thinks what he's doing is good, but to
I agree. No, he needs to go and revamp.
Maybe him going back singles again. Maybe him going on his own again. His single stuff was really good. Him and was it Ortiz, Eye for an Eye? That was a really good story with him becoming AEW World Champion, and his stuff was Omega. With Omega was good. He's always been able to. I actually think he's better on his own than with the group, because kind of like when he left the Shield, he did a lot better without them. He really showcased what he could do. Kind of like with the Blackpool Combat Club, he's not like. Without the Blackpool Combat Club, he showcased what he could really do. With them, he's kind of there.
Yeah, he's just like a third guy in the club.
It's like, would the Tasmanian Devil have friends? Like that's what I kind of think of. He should be too wild, where even other faces are like, I like him, but no, do not go out with this guy. You are gonna end up in trouble.
I can see that. I would like that.
Yeah, I can totally agree on that, Paul, because he needs to be that. I mean, it was the same way as he was the lunatic fringe in WWE. Like nobody wanted to be around him. Nobody wanted to wrestle him because he was just crazy, and he needs that character again back in AEW, because he's kind of lost his touch. I don't know if it's because of everything he's put his body through. Honestly, I don't know the guy personally. I don't know if he's gone back to drinking. I know he was gone for a while to go to rehab. I'm hoping he didn't relapse. We probably would have heard about it, but we don't know.
It might also be a creative thing, because Moxley was in Japan recently, and he had Falls Count Anywhere match with Great O'Khan, and it was like one of those old school Stan Hansen, we're tearing up the arena, fighting everywhere. Fans are running in a panic. Kids are crying. Chairs are. It was fantastic, but you can't have that kind of match in normal American arenas. It's not necessarily the same environment. So maybe it's what he wants to do and what Tony Khan wants to book might be clashing a bit. And that's why we see something that doesn't quite fit, because they might be trying to fit two pieces together that don't.
So then to that extent, Paul, I mean, how do you see Jon Moxley's 2024? Do you see him maybe being burnt out, maybe taking a break, or actually just finishing up with AEW and just being done completely? I mean, what do you see in him in 2024?
Honestly, I see him going for at least one tour back in Japan. I think every time I see him there, he seems like he's having so much fun. So even if he leaves AEW or stays, I feel like we might get one tour out of him. I know he did a G1 a couple years ago, and like we saw him recently for a couple matches. So I don't know. I feel like he's sort of living the dream to borrow that expression, he can go wherever he wants. Hey, Mox, you want to do a blood sport match? Hey, yeah, let's do that. Hey, Mox, you want to go to GCW for a match that's got 40 people in the crowd? Hell yeah, let's do it. He's just living the dream. Everyone loves him. He can go anywhere he wants, and everyone in the business wants to wrestle him. So I think he's just sort of like, yeah, let's ride it out.
And it's so weird. Him and Renee are complete opposites, yet they work together as a couple. It's amazing. Like it is so weird. Yeah. Just like it's great, you know. So, but what's up?
Just throw it out there. Moxley is signed through 2027. So
yay.
Okay, just so we know, that's good. So hopefully when he is done in 2027, maybe take a backstage role with AEW, which would be perfect. As we wind down here, guys, talking a lot about the end of the year. We got one more pay-per-view coming up, World's End, at the end of this month. But we've got, a whole new full year ahead of us with pro wrestling. I just want to get your guys' last thoughts on something that you want to predict for 2024. I know we do this a lot. Sometimes it changes. Sometimes people have the same prediction, but this is something that I'm going to do pretty much for a while. Basically, yearly thing is basically predicting something in 2024. It doesn't have to be AEW related. It could be pro wrestling related. So I guess I'll start from the bottom and work my way back up this way. I don't know what I'm doing there. I'm probably dancing. But Paul, we'll start with you. Give me one bold prediction for the state of pro wrestling in 2024.
Okay, I'm just gonna say something crazy because it's my first time on, but I think 2024 is gonna be the year of Bullet Club. I know there's been a little bit of struggles, and I know that the Japanese side and the American side haven't really meshed, like of the recent years. Mm-hmm. But Chris Bay, like ABC in Impact, and then we have Bullet Club Gold in AEW, and New Japan as a whole is getting stronger. So I have this feeling where we might see that. Remember a few years ago where it was like they showed up in Ring of Honor and they showed up in all these different smaller indies. I kind of feel like we might get a little bit of that just to try to bring some something back to that brand, because it's such a good brand and no one wants to let go of it, but they have to do something to get the American crowd back into that faction.
Forbidden Door 2024.
Oh, just the War Dogs in general. As soon as they come over to America, everyone's going to go, these guys are great.
Yeah, no, I'd like to see more Bullet Club in 2024 too, over in the stateside, grow a little bit more. Danny, how about you? Bold prediction for 2024.
Let's see. I attend a WWE event. Oh, sorry. Okay, that's already on the list. Okay. I think bold prediction. Oh my gosh, let's see.
I know it's a lot to take in.
Yeah, don't think really too hard.
Just throw it out there. What's your instinct here?
I'm just everything going on this week. Okay. Bold prediction. We're going to see something unexpected. I can't put my finger on it, and I'm going to use unexpected, that somebody is going to surprise the wrestling world with something. I know that's vague, but
I mean, you're not wrong.
It's just, we're all going to be like, holy shit. That's the story, and I'm sticking to it.
Bigger holy shit that CM Punk returning to WWE.
Yes, thank you, Adam.
That is a big one.
Because that was a big one. So if there's something bigger in 2024 that the whole wrestling world goes, whoa, then I will be shocked.
Yeah.
So, all right, Siren, what about you? Bold prediction for 2024.
Orange Cassidy heel turn.
Oh
Oh,
no!
that'll be interesting.
Love it.
Bring on the blood orange.
Oh no!
Come on, bring on the blood orange. I want to see it. I want to see it. You know, and that's one thing about Orange Cassidy is when he's in the ring, he's always like, very chill. But when you do see him get going and he starts to like lose it a little bit and his wrestling starts to get a little bit more intense, I'm like, I want to see that, but all the fucking time. Like, and I want to see him snap. I want, like, when he lost the his international title and he was all like, I don't know what I'm doing or who I am. Maybe he loses again. Boom, turn. Blood orange.
And I always referred to him as the Gap employee. Like he was dressed in Gap jeans and a Gap shirt in AEW. He never appealed to me, but then I saw the kids dressed like orange, and as a former teacher, I'm like, he's stinking adorable. He's growing on me.
Oh yeah. No,
Yeah,
I need to see that heel turn. I want to see it. I know he has it in him, and I believe that I, as a fan, deserve to see that.
Thank you.
That's great. That's a great bold prediction. I think it'll be definitely a different character for him too. But I think with his talents, I think he could pull it off, and I'd love to see it. Connor, finishing up with you. What is one bold prediction you see in the state of pro wrestling 2024?
Personal for me, my goal is to meet CM Punk in 2024. I really, really, really want to meet him. Then wrestling wise, prediction. I can name the main one is CM Punk becoming WWE World Heavyweight Champion, WrestleMania 40, but also AEW getting stronger and them getting back to the way they used to be.
For me, I think my bold prediction is basically a forbidden door amongst WWE and AEW in 2024. I'd like to see them finally come together and kind of be like, listen, we're all under this one umbrella of pro wrestling, and let's work together. It shouldn't be us versus you or you versus us. It should be, this is our brand, this is your brand. But if some of our talents want to wrestle each other because they know each other for so long, some companies, I mean, I really hope they allow that. I mean, we're seeing it with New Japan and AEW because Tony is just really good friends with them over there. I keep forgetting the president's name in New Japan. Paul, help me out again.
Oh, I couldn't do it off the top of my head. Sorry.
No, it's okay. But I mean, he's got a good working relationship. I mean, heck, even we saw Mickie James return to the Royal Rumble as Impact Women's Champion. There's already a forbidden door there. So, I mean, my bold prediction is 2024 that we're going to see a little bit of talent from WWE mingle with talent from AEW or with Impact or New Japan. That's my bold prediction. But thank you all for joining tonight. I really appreciate you guys jumping on here to talk about this discussion. I'm still working on an episode for next week. I have a couple of ideas. I will let everybody know in group chat what the idea is. But before we go, I believe Connor had mentioned it earlier. Connor, I believe you have a special announcement for us tonight.
Yes, January, we're going to have a special guest. We haven't had many ECW people on here. We've had Sabu on here. We've had technically the Pope was in ECW, but not really. I mean, he was kind of in ECW. But the really main ECW guy we've had on here is Sabu. But does anyone remember the BWO? So let me get my calendar just so I don't give you guys the wrong date. I've actually got a few scheduled.
Wait a minute.
So Friday, January 20th, the Blue Mini will be on here.
Hey!
Before Rampage. This is not the big name that I was intentionally hoping it would be, but Blue Mini is one I've always wanted to interview and stuff like that. January 20th. That will Friday, an hour before Rampage. So that'll be 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern. He'll be on here.
You said January 20th?
Yes, Friday, January
According
20th.
to the calendar, that's a Saturday.
Oh,
that Friday would be the 19th.
Yes, it's the 19th. I was looking at my 2023 calendar.
So
'Cause
19th.
technically, yes,
Yeah,
This will be-
19th is a Friday.
yeah, this is 2024, so January 19th, Friday. That's when this will be happening. Yes.
Well, that's awesome. I love the blue meanie. Say hello to the blue guy, you know. So that's awesome. I actually have an idea of who Connor. I actually know the big name Connor wants to have on,
Yeah.
and so I'm very excited for when that's finalized. But like Connor said, we've got a great 2024 in store for you guys here at AEZ. Especially on our Canada side, you know, Siren and Paul will be, you know, killing it over there.
I'll try
on
my
top
best.
On top of Maddie, who is a great host over there. We thank him for
Very much.
doing all that. But again, thank you guys for jumping on here tonight, talking with me. Thank you everybody for watching and commenting in the chat. Make sure you guys hit that like, subscribe, share it with your friends. We're on YouTube. We're on Spotify. We're on Twitch. We're everywhere, man. Like we're not going to go anywhere. You know, we've been doing this, been here for 2 years. You know, we just had our anniversary show. I haven't been here 2 years, but Connor has. So God bless his heart. So before I go, is there any final words from anybody?
I know you have 2 final words.
Oh, of course I do. Well, if that's the case, again, thank you guys for joining us tonight. Thank you all for being on the panel and discussing with me. It's always fun talking with you guys. And if there's nothing else, as always, and good night. I think I was good on that. Yeah. We're still live. Hi, everybody.
That's why I was waiting.
And I was like, how